Joining us right now on the phones, the day before Super Tuesday, GOP political strategist, co-founder, mustreadtexas.com, Matt Mackowiak. Matt, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Chad. I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing well. Well, another weekend full of Donald Trump. Let's first start off with this Never Trump hashtag that blew up over the weekend. And there are a lot of conservatives out, or at least on social media, who are saying that they will never vote for Donald Trump, period. And I believe even at least one politician has come out and said that they will never vote for Donald Trump. Is this a good idea, bad idea? How does this affect the Republican Party?
Yeah, I think it's an idea that was started by my friend Aaron Gardner, who's a front-page contributor on Red State and a former campaign aide for Perry. I believe he started over the weekend and just kind of took off. Look, I think it's from my perspective, I think Trump's a total disaster, and I think there's no way in hell he could win the general election. He's got a negative image from 8 out of 10 Hispanics. I'm sure that the idiotic refusal to disavow the David Duke comments over the weekend certainly would make his numbers with African Americans plummet. He's got big problems with women. So from my standpoint, I don't think he can win. And so if we're going to try to weaken someone who can't win, I'm not sure I see a huge cost there. What matters more to me, though, is just that, the conservatism has to mean something. And for Trump, he has clearly sort of married himself to conservatism for the last year because it's been convenient, because it's been his path to power in the White House. And so, if you are someone who cares more about conservatism than you care about the Republican Party, then Never Trump makes a lot of sense. If instead you want to always support the Republican nominee, always want to support the Republican Party, then Never Trump's probably not for you. I find myself somewhere in between on that question. I consider myself probably more of a conservative than I do a Republican. But look, everyone is going to face, on the Republican side, everybody's going to face a tough choice if Trump's the nominee. I mean, are we really willing to support this person? Is he better than Hillary? Is there another option? Is there a third-party option in a three-way race that could perhaps be competitive? My hope is we don't get to that point. My hope is Cruz Rubio is the nominee. I still think there's some uncertainty to the race right now, but Trump is in a strong position, and he may be in a very strong position after Tuesday night.
What happens, let's say Ted Cruz wins Texas. If he doesn't win Texas, it's over for him. But let's say Ted Cruz wins Texas. What else does he have to do to stay in this race moving forward? And what do you think Marco Rubio has to do to stay in this race moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that after the first four states, we were able to narrow down the field from 17 candidates to 5, and Carson's basically a non-entity, so we're essentially at 4 real candidates. What's not clear is that there doesn't appear to be another forcing mechanism to get these candidates out of the race. And so the one criteria that's been set, which I think everyone is basically agreeing with, is that you cannot lose your home state. I heard Steve Shigaris on CBS this morning say no sitting elected official, no current elected official has lost their home presidential primary since 1972, not in the modern era. And you have all 3 of the Republicans, apart from Trump, that are running in their home states essentially in the next 15 or 16 days. Cruz tomorrow in Texas, and then Kasich and Rubio both in their home states of Ohio and Florida on March 15th. So to your question, I think Cruz is going to win Texas. I think he's going to win it by a comfortable margin, 8-10 points. I could imagine a scenario where he gets 40, Trump gets 30, and Rubio is right around 20 statewide. That'll give him a good boost of momentum. It'll give him 75, 80, 85 delegates out of Texas. The interesting thing to see is does he win Arkansas? I think that's another state he can win. I think Oklahoma could be very close. We'll see how that turns out. He's going to get delegates all across the South in other states like Tennessee and Georgia and Virginia and others. So to me, the question is, Cruz is almost surely going to be in second place in delegates, putting Rubio in no position to demand he gets out of the race from third place. And so the question becomes, can Rubio get back into second place after March 1st? Of course, you have contests on March 5th and March 8th that remain proportional. And then you have the winner-take-all states that begin on March 15th. That's when Florida, Ohio, and Illinois all vote. You could have a scenario, Chad, where Kasich loses Ohio to Trump, perhaps narrowly, and Rubio loses Florida to Trump. In that case, you could honestly have a scenario where Cruz then becomes the finalist against Trump, even though the establishment is not going to want that. The question becomes, do you want Cruz or do you want Trump? I think so far, some of them say, well, maybe Trump wouldn't be that bad. We're starting to see now exactly how bad he would be, how undisciplined he is. Cruz's path, I think, is probably hoping that Kasich and Rubio both fail because I don't know that there's a clear path otherwise. The other path is to prevent Trump from getting a majority of the delegates on the first ballot. That's preventing him from getting 1,237 delegates. You go to a second ballot. The delegates can change who they're pledged to. You could have a scenario where Cruz and Rubio partner up, or Rubio and Kasich partner up, and perhaps they have more delegates than Trump does. So there's a number of scenarios here, but again, I go back to the point that Trump is in a strong position right now, and there appears to be no immediate forcing mechanism to get this into a one-on-one race, which is what we really need to actually stop Trump.
In your mind, is there a date where Rubio or Cruz has to drop out in order for this to be a competitive race and prevent Trump from taking the nomination?
I think there's a chance that it has to happen before the March 15th contest. I think there's a chance that after March 15th, it's actually too late. And, of course, a lot of this is going to depend on how many delegates Trump gets on March 1st, if he continues to pick up delegates March 5th and March 6th. But, look, if he wins Florida, Ohio, and Illinois on March 15th, even if Rubio and Kasich drop out at that point, and Cruz would essentially have to almost run the table to get a majority of the delegates from there going forward. So, as I said, this is the problem. There is no forcing mechanism that gets this down to a one-on-one race. I think Rubio's hoping Cruz somehow loses Texas. I think that is a very remote possibility. I think Trump is definitely gaining on Cruz in Texas because of his momentum and the wins he had in Nevada and South Carolina. But I don't think that he's going to be able to make up that ground. He's spending only about $400,000 on paid media. Cruz has a huge organization in Texas, 27,000 volunteers. He has, had a huge head start in Texas with solid name ID and a good organization. So, again, this comes back to the point is how do you get it down to a one-on-one race? Kasich, Rubio, and Cruz all want to be the finalists against Trump, but no one wants to get out. You have a sort of a prisoner's bargain here where no one wants to get out, but everyone realizes that you've got to narrow the field down.
Does it make sense for Ted Cruz? He's holding 3 rallies in the state of Texas today. He's actually spent quite a bit of time the last few days in Texas, it seems. Does it make sense for him to do that?
Well, I think if they thought they were in a really, really, really strong position, they probably wouldn't do that. Now, keep in mind, you had the debate on Thursday night. He wanted to announce the Abbott endorsement, so he announced that on Wednesday so we could get the full press hit out of that. He then spent Thursday here, doing the debate, preparing for the debate, and then doing the debate down in Houston. But then he was gone all weekend. He was gone all Friday, all Saturday, all Sunday. He is back today. Probably wants to sleep in his own bed tonight. I'm sure he'll vote on Tuesday. So yes, but look, I think that this is a recognition that Texas really matters, and it's not just about winning. It's about the margin. The larger his margin statewide, the more delegates he gets from the 1/3 that are allocated on a statewide basis. But what really matters is how he does in these congressional districts. You have 36 congressional districts that are going to have 3 delegates each. So 2/3 of our delegates are going to be allocated by congressional district. And so what I'm looking at is, my guess is he probably wins all 25 Republican congressional districts. And if he does that, if he gets over 50% any of them, he gets all 3 delegates per district. If he gets under 50, but someone gets over 20, then he gets 2 and they get 1. So he wants to run up the score and try to win as many of those Republican districts as possible, and that's why you're seeing him campaign in Dallas and Houston, where there are clusters of 5 or 6 congressional districts in each media market. So, again, yes, would he rather probably be in another state today trying to really compete with Trump in Oklahoma or Arkansas or Tennessee or Georgia? Perhaps, but he just visited all 4 of those states and Virginia in the last 3 days. So I think they want to just have one final solid day campaigning across the state to run up their numbers in Texas.
Before we find out what's on mustreadtexas.com, I guess go ahead and give us either official or unofficial prediction. How many states Ted Cruz wins, how many Marco Rubio wins, or if Donald Trump just runs the table besides Texas?
Yeah, I don't think Rubio wins any tomorrow. The one possibility is Minnesota, which is a caucus state. It's a little hard to predict. He has had some endorsements up there, including the largest newspaper in the state. And so obviously a little bit more moderate. But no, I think Rubio goes winless again tomorrow night. I think Cruz definitely wins Texas. As I said, it wouldn't surprise me if it was 40 for Cruz, 30 for Trump, and around 20 for Rubio. And then I actually am predicting Cruz wins Arkansas. I think he probably will win Arkansas. So the question then becomes, is he close in states like Oklahoma or Georgia or Tennessee or Virginia? He's going to get delegates out of those states, but he wants to be in second place outside of Texas.
right?
Not in third place to Rubio, because that's going to be a big extent for a big way they're going to cover the race.
What can people find on mustreadtexas.com today?
Yeah, I'll just point out one article that is in Politico this morning. It's a profile of Cruz's campaign manager, Jeff Rowe. Obviously, there's been a lot of attention on the, quote, nasty or negative campaign tactics of the Cruz campaign from Rubio and Trump. So there's a full background on Rowe and his past working in campaigns at a very high level. You can find all that, all the news, all the opinion, all the blog items from around the state at one place, mustreadtexas.com.
All right, as always, Matt Mackowiak, thanks for your time. Appreciate it, man.
Have a great week. Take care.
You too.